everybody, Joe Workman here. Now, last week, RapidWeaver 8 shipped, and we had a really epic hangout. I mean, it was really epic. It went for a long time, like 2 hours. I had almost 100 people stay for the whole 2 hours, and we even went like for 3 hours after that. But I recorded like the main demo part of the hangout for you guys that weren't able to attend because I never expected to reach the 100 person limit on this hangout, and we did. So a lot of you weren't able to attend. So I'm sorry about that, but we're glad that I did record it for everybody. Now, I am also sorry that the audio from the other attendees didn't get recorded properly, so you only have my audio. So that's why I kind of cut and spliced things up in the video so that you didn't hear just silence of people asking me questions and then me answering them. So sorry that you can't hear the other people asking questions, but hopefully you'll catch the drift and you'll get most of the main point. You'll still get a lot out of this replay because I do most of the demos and I go for long periods of time showing you how to do this and that and tips and tricks on RapidWeaver 8. Now, while I have your attention, I also want to remind you that coming up in just 2 weeks from today, right? September 7th to the 9th, we have the 3rd annual Weaver Space Conference. This is an amazing online virtual conference that you can attend live from wherever you are in the world. Okay, we have some amazing sessions this year coming from obviously Isaiah, Big White Duck, myself, Elizabeth Martinez, some of the greatest designers in the community, including Elizabeth, John Hawkins, David Franken. We also have Jason Resnick, Nick Cates, right? Some new people coming in that are going to be talking about stuff like Facebook marketing. And we also have the infamous David Sparks. Yes, Max Sparky himself is going to be talking at this conference, but he's going to be talking about the legal side of websites. And I'm really excited for that talk. So if you're interested in the conference, please head over to rapidweaverconference.com. Again, that is rapidweaverconference.com, and pick yourself up a ticket. It gives you a one-year pass to all Weaver Space events throughout the whole year. We have this 1 3-day conference coming up in a couple weeks. Then we have a couple 1-day events planned until the next 3-day conference in 2019. Okay. And also you get access to all previous year's events. So you get over like 40 hours of video to consume. That's really top notch from some amazing people. The previous year's conference sessions were just stupendous, and you can only access them now with this ticket. So go ahead and head over to rapidweaverconference.com. And without further ado, here is the replay from last week's epic RapidWeaver 8 Hangout. I think this upgrade, at least myself, I know I posted, obviously I'm going to, people are going to think, oh yeah, this is the best RapidWeaver version ever. It really is. And I think, at least my personal view, just looking at the forum since the release on Tuesday, I think it's been the best upgrade like ever in terms of like the smoothest upgrade for everybody, right? Because I don't know if you've been around, no one's been around for like the 5 to 6 or the 6 to 7 upgrades. Each one's gotten a little bit better, but like this upgrade was really smooth. I think obviously there was a couple minor issues. There's going to be some minor issues with every upgrade. And RealMax already fixed a lot of those. 8.01's already been released. So that squashed a few of the little minor bugs that were found on launch day. So, and that was good. RealMac got those out within hours, right? Within less than 24 hours. So that was nice of them. And I'm pretty sure 8.02 is coming next week. So yeah, I really do think that the upgrade is great. And it is very smooth, a lot of positive things. I guess where I should start is I'll kind of go over how to upgrade. How about that? Why don't we start with that, right? So let me go ahead and start sharing my screen here. I'll share my entire desktop here. Okay, let's put that there. So RapidWeaver 8. So when you launch RapidWeaver 8, obviously it's a nice, beautiful new icon. Okay. I'm just going to open up, let's open up an existing project that I have. And actually, let's go ahead and open up a RapidWeaver 7 project. I am kind of going off on the cuff here. Sorry, guys. I just figured I'd go off and wing it today. So let's go ahead and find an old project. How about let's do like Impact. I think that's a RapidWeaver 7 project here. Okay, so here's a RapidWeaver 7 project. Okay, a couple things that I have noticed is that if you have RapidWeaver 7 open and you open up a RapidWeaver 8 project, currently it tries to open up the 8 project in version 7. I think they're going to fix that in 8.02. I'm not sure, but just to let you guys know that you kind of get like a little warning or an error from RapidWeaver 7. So if you try to open up again a version 8 document while 8 is not open but 7 is, then you'll get a little error. But what I wanted to show you is opening a existing project, and this I've migrated RapidWeaver 6 and 7 projects. I haven't tried a version 5 project. Maybe I can dig one up and see if that even works. But I'm not sure. I know it does 6 and 7, so I'm just going to drag and drop this right on there. RapidWeaver tells us, hey, do you want to upgrade this project? And you just say, yeah, I want to. And what it does is it creates a copy of the project, okay? And if we notice in this directory, it's created a duplicate, a new file of this project, and it has a new extension called .rw8. So that's how you know that a project is a RapidWeaver 8 project. And it says, yeah, we created this project, and continue. So now any changes that I make to this project will be changed in the RapidWeaver 8 version, right? But it's nice to know that the version 7 file will remain intact and everything. So that's really nice. So that takes care of dealing with projects. So you should not be worried about upgrading, because it's not gonna, if you're nervous about big, older projects that you have, it's going to make a copy of them. So I can still go ahead and open this RapidWeaver 7 project inside RapidWeaver 7 if I wanted, and it's going to be the same project as it was before. So RapidWeaver 8 doesn't modify that project at all. I can still open it up in the older versions of RapidWeaver. Okay, so that's nice. It is nice that these two versions can run 100% side by side, right? I recommend just keeping it simple. I'm personally doing just a clean cut. Anything from now on, I'm just opening and using it in RapidWeaver 8, and I'm not using RapidWeaver 7 or version 6. As I'm using those as little as I actually have to. Okay. Okay, so we're back in RapidWeaver 8. Now, you guys were curious in terms of how do we migrate add-ons. Okay, so I already had RapidWeaver 8 running. If I were to launch RapidWeaver 8 for the first time, it does prompt you, do you want us to migrate your add-ons? Okay. Again, this is already an install that I already had, so there's nothing really I can't do that. So it already migrated my add-ons, but if I know a couple people either clicked no when they were to ask that, or they something happened during the migration process that didn't work or something like that. So if you have RapidWeaver 8 open, if you go to the File menu, okay, or no, if you go to the RapidWeaver menu, there is a Copy Add-ons From button. I believe I already copied the add-ons from RapidWeaver 7, so it doesn't show here, but there will be a Copy Add-ons From button here, and then you can copy the add-ons. RapidWeaver will do it for you, okay? So that's nice. Now, last case scenario, if you want to manually do that, right? Essentially, if you have RapidWeaver open, just use the keyboard command, Command 7, okay? And I think it's probably in the Window menu as well. If you go Window, it's RapidWeaver Reveal Add-ons folder, okay? And that will open up your add-ons folder inside Finder, okay? And then you could do the same thing inside RapidWeaver 7. So if I go to 7, I'm going to say not now. If I go to 7, actually 7, the keyboard shortcut is Option Command 7. So then that will show the add-ons folder in RapidWeaver 7. And if you notice, probably Stacks is the thing you want, right? So if you go to Stacks, you can manually copy over or copy everything over. There's a Themes folder that has all the themes. So yeah, there is all of the add-ons for RapidWeaver 8, and you can manually copy those with Finder as a last resort. I do know some people that take, every time a new RapidWeaver version comes out, they take the opportunity to actually, start with a clean slate and then they manually copy over the add-ons that they want. It's up to you, right? There is some new add-on management stuff in RapidWeaver 8 that actually, let's go over that right now, right? So if we go into, since we're talking about add-ons, I'm going to minimize this window. So if we go into the preferences in RapidWeaver now, you'll notice that there is an add-ons preference, okay? And this is nice because it shows you plugins, and you can show all the plugins, okay? And it has a themes tab and a stacks tab. Now what's cool here is if you notice there's checkboxes here, okay? And what you could do is if you uncheck those will not be displayed. This add-on will now not be displayed in RapidWeaver, right? So for example, a classic case of this is like the old classic themes in RapidWeaver, right? So if you wanted to completely hide those, and what's nice, it tells you the version of those and what version these themes came in with RapidWeaver, you can go ahead and disable some of those really old themes so that your theme drawer is a little bit nicer now, right? And you can do that the same thing for stacks. And if you notice, it organizes them nicely by developer. Okay, so you can easily target, and you can also filter. You can just start typing, right? So if you go to themes and you start typing foundation, right? There you go, right? So yeah, so that's a nice thing. It's a nice little add-ons manager, and that's inside the preferences. Now, also next up is if you wanted to. We already had the question earlier from Jody. If you wanted to manage your RapidWeaver add-ons yourself, like maybe you wanted to add them to iCloud or Dropbox or something of that nature, right? I have them managed by RapidWeaver right now, but what you can do is you can just say other, and then you can choose a folder in Finder, okay? And, have them stored either on Dropbox or iCloud so that you can sync them across multiple machines. Actually, while we're in preferences, let's just go through some of the new preferences. On launch, you can show the projects window. A lot of this is really don't need to know. Enable developer tools. If you kind of really want to dive into, I talk a lot about the developer inspector and whatnot. If you want to be able to access that inside RapidWeaver, make sure you check this box. I love it. I enjoy it. I have numerous videos on the dev inspector and how to troubleshoot stuff on your own. You'll probably need that if you want to do that within RapidWeaver itself. So that's a good preference to have turned on if you want that. Enable external preview auto reload. I think this is turned on by default. I have it turned off, mostly because if I'm debugging something in a browser, sometimes RapidWeaver refreshes it and all my debug stuff is gone. So I have that turned off. Okay. And next up is, let's see, render. Yes. Okay. I strongly recommend you do not turn this off. Some people I've had turn this off, this render PHP in local preview. And if you do this, no PHP will work in your entire project. And a lot of stacks use PHP, so don't turn that off. Use smart quotes. I think smart quotes are annoying. They cause more havoc than they do good, so I recommend turning that off. Enable code completion. You can have this turned on or off. I don't really do much coding in RapidWeaver, so I just had it turned off. Most of the time I do code in my code editor, then I copy paste it into RapidWeaver. Generic page icons. That's just in the sidebar. If I go ahead and open my project again, it's just the icons over here. So if you were to turn that off, let's go ahead and turn that off. If you notice, it just changes that to a stacks. Just makes it generic. I don't know. It's kind of nice having kind of a uniform look. Kind of a grayscale look is nice. Alert when changing file names. I recommend leaving that off or on. Sorry. So if you accidentally change something, it'll alert you. If you change something from like index to HTML to index.php, it'll remind you that you have to remove that other one from your server. Unsplash. We'll be looking at this in a little bit, but just remember that this preference exists. It allows you to customize the size. Okay. Publishing setup. Preview using. So this is a dual-edged sword, this setting now. It actually configures, if you do preview in browser, it will now preview in this browser. So for example, a lot of times I'll set this to Safari Technology Preview, which is like the continuous beta version of Safari. And if I preview in browser now, by hitting just Command P in RapidWeaver, okay, what it does is it launches that browser instead of my default browser, which is Safari, right? So that's really nice. And here, let's change it to something completely different now. I'm going to change it to Firefox. So since I changed that preference to Firefox, if I hit Command P in my project, it's going to open up Firefox and it displayed this particular page inside Firefox. That's cool. I'm going to go off on a little tangent. Here's another little tip that actually worked in version 7. But if you do Option Command P, okay, it shows you a little thing where you can select what browser you want. And what's kind of cool here is if you command click, you can actually select multiple browsers, right? And if you click preview, it will open this page that I have here in every single browser. So if you notice, it opened up Firefox over here. Oh, it's currently loading the other Firefox on my other display. And Google Chrome gave me that little alert. So that probably is, oh, there it goes. It was just slow. Okay, getting all these alerts because I never use these other browsers very much. So that's convenient, right? So if you want to preview in multiple browsers, you can. RapidWeaver 8, now RapidWeaver 8 has a better way of doing preview now, and we'll get into that in a little bit. But if you still preview in browser, I still use this all the time, so very convenient. So I'm going to go ahead and change that back to what I want there. Okay. Next up in updates, that's just configuring updates. That's fine. And add-ons manager, we kind of went over that. Okay, cool. So what are we going to look at now? Let's look at something exciting because we kind of talked about preview. And I'm going to show what is probably my favorite new feature in RapidWeaver 8. And that is a new way of previewing, and it's called the simulator. Okay. And if you'll notice inside the toolbar, there's this new button called Simulate. And there still is the preview button, right? So you could still hit the preview button and it'll generate the preview inside RapidWeaver. So there we go. We have our preview in RapidWeaver. And if you didn't know what that is, that's Command R to toggle between edit mode and preview mode. Very convenient. But we have a nice new better way, and that's called the simulator. So you click on the simulator and you'll notice that it opens up a simulator window. And what you should notice here is it tells you the iPad. So this is currently an iPad. You could pick whatever device you want. So if I want an iPhone 8, okay, I can display this particular page inside the iPhone 8 browser. Okay, so this is what my site looks like on an iPhone 8. Right, very nice. Okay, now that's cool that you could toggle between these, and you can also there's another button on the toolbar here. Actually, I'm going to go ahead and just minimize that window so we can focus just on the simulator window. So here we have iPhone 8, and you can actually rotate it. So if you want to see what it looks like in landscape mode, you can do that. I personally don't design for landscape mode on phones. I don't think people should be browsing the web in landscape mode on the phones. I wish Apple gave us a way to completely disable that, but I won't go off on that tangent. Now this is cool, but we can even go a step farther, right? So if we click on this window here, we can then do a new open new simulator window. And what you can do is you can have multiple of them, right? So let's say I want to have an iPhone 8 Plus. And if you notice, all of these are live. They completely work. You can have as many as you want. Okay, you can say open simulator window. And let's go ahead and do a MacBook Pro 13-inch. So I'm on a 27-inch display, right? So this is the actual pixel size of a 13-inch MacBook Pro, right? And what's cool is, as you can see, you can see all of these at the same time. Okay. What's even cooler is I'm going to go ahead and let's open this project, and let's go ahead and make a change. Oops, what happened? Let's do this one. Okay. Let's go ahead and make a simple change. I'm just going to change this header. And as you saw, did you see the changes in the background? I've made this change in edit mode. Okay. And those changes are slowly propagating to all of the windows. So as you saw, that change was made. I changed in edit mode, and in the background, all of these slides changed to the new version. Okay, very, 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 very cool. Could you navigate? Yes, you could. So you can go ahead and you go to screens, and it should. Actually, I've never tried that. Oh, there it goes. Oh, interesting. And it changes all of them at the same time. I've never tried that. So good question. I had no idea if that was going to work. So another very cool thing. Let's say you're like, every project that I open, I want to show these 3 devices. Okay. So what you do is you click on this little menu and you can say save window layout as. Okay. And you can save and you can say Hangout Simulator, and you can click Save. Okay. Now, from any point in time, I can now go Window Layout and click the Hangout Simulator. Okay. So I'm gonna completely restart. I'm gonna quit RapidWeaver really quick. Let's just quit just for fun. Don't save my changes. Okay, and I'm gonna go ahead and open up that same exact project again. So we're starting from scratch. I'm now opening this project, and is it working? It's so the save window layout is done on a global basis, so it's not done by project. So you can save that window layout and use that same window layout for any project. Okay, so here's a project. I just opened it fresh. I go ahead and open my simulator. Okay, and then I'm going to click on this and then go to window layout and do Hangout Simulator. Okay, and boom, there we go. Now in the background, it's going ahead and generating all those previews for us. And there we go. That is a really nifty feature. Now, a cool tip on something that I do, right, is I have 2 displays. Now, not everybody has 2 displays, okay? But what I've done is I have RapidWeaver on one display, and then on my second display, I have all of my simulators. So as I'm working on this display, all I need to look is just glance over to my second display, and voila, right? They're all there, right? So it's pretty cool. Now, on my laptop, actually, I can show you right now what I do on my laptop, because my laptop is one display, right? Let's go ahead and show you that. So if you've never used OS X Spaces, this is what I do is you can add a new desktop. Okay, and what you could do is you could just add these simulator windows to that desktop, right? So what I've done is now I'm previewing, I'm making changes, and all I have to do is swipe over, and there's my simulate windows. Kind reminder about muting your microphones. Okay, so that's very convenient, right? So now I can go ahead and swipe. I can make all my changes. When I'm ready to preview, I can just swipe over, and I have multiple devices that I can now preview my website on live, right? It's very, 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 very cool. So the agent will preview here, but it'll function exactly as if you were previewing it inside RapidWeaver. Okay, because agent really is a server-side thing, and all these preview windows, it's just like opening up a browser window and kind of shifting it down. So this doesn't behave exactly as if you were on an iPhone 8 device in terms of right, because it doesn't simulate that level, right? There's not much that can actually do that, right? So if you want to show that really quick, so what he's talking about is if you preview inside Safari, now you have to have developer tools enabled, okay, inside the preferences, and if you go to develop and then you can go to responsive design mode, they constantly change the keyboard shortcuts for this, so it drives me bonkers. Right now it's control, and so here you can go ahead and do a similar thing to the simulators, okay. And then if you click on that again, you can rotate it. It is very similar. I mean, these simulator windows that you have here, while you're designing your site, they are great. They get you most of the way there, right? And there are a few outside cases where you might see something slightly different on the actual device. But again, these get you 95, 98, 99% of the way there, I think. And they're a great improvement to what we had previously inside RapidWeaver. I haven't noticed any. My layout that I have is like inside this. I have all devices. I actually have 5 simulator windows open, And because all of these simulators are connecting, so what RapidWeaver does is it runs an actual PHP, little mini PHP web server in the background, and all these simulator windows open it, right? So the performance of having multiple simulator windows open is the same as having 5 tabs open in Safari. Okay, it really doesn't have much of a performance impact because they're all connecting to the same little backend web server that RapidWeaver is spawning. Is preview faster? Okay, so that was a nice little query on the forum. People asking about that, and I think preview performance is about the same, right? I think these simulator windows, the workflow is nicer because you don't have to keep toggling back and forth between edit mode and preview mode, right? But so I think having those simulator windows open saves you time. But in terms of actually previewing, it's probably going to be about the same. Okay. And why could preview be slow for your pages? Well, if you have a really complex page with 100 different stacks on the page or 50 stacks on the page, it's going to be a little slow, right? Because you got to think this is actually the stacks plugin has to generate all the code, on the fly every time you click preview. So, that's why a lot of my stacks, I tend to try to make edit mode as close as possible to preview mode so that you can do as much work as you can inside edit mode, and then you can flop and preview the live web page later on, right? In terms of preview, no, like I said, preview performance I think is almost identical from 7 to 8. And I've done a lot of tests. I've opened the same projects in 7 and 8, and they are identical in terms of preview time. So I know Isaiah is working on Stacks 4, and one of the things I've been working with him heavily is getting that preview time, so AKA the time it takes to generate the actual web page code and making that faster, right? So Stacks 4 will be faster for preview mode. So we're looking forward to that. That should happen sometime this year. That's the goal. But obviously I have no control over that. Isaiah is awesome. We all love Isaiah, and he makes Stacks 4 amazing. I know it's going to be great. So, okay, great. Yeah, because I have noticed if you're in preview mode in RapidWeaver sometimes, and then you change some settings, sometimes it tries to regenerate their preview. Like for instance, let's say I'm doing a slider right in Stacks, and I'm previewing a page, and then I'm editing a stack while I'm in preview mode. Every single little tick of that slider, it tries to generate a new preview because it thinks that you want that, right? So, I know we're working on improving that, but like you said, the new simulator setup kind of solves all of that, and it really is a better workflow. So, if you guys are definitely wanting to preview a lot, like keep on going from edit mode to preview mode, instead of flopping that mode, just try using the new simulator windows and try that desktop trick if you don't have multiple displays, and just make your changes in edit mode, swipe over to that new desktop using the spaces built into OS 10, and then look at your preview windows there, the simulator windows. I think it's a great workflow. Well, no, it's because Internet Explorer is different because it's running on a completely different platform, right? So simulator can't simulate actually being on a Windows machine, if that makes sense, right? So there's 2 ways that I've traditionally used to preview things in Internet Explorer. Obviously, I have to do that because I want to make sure things are working as much as possible for you guys, right? So one solution is to get something like VMware or Parallels or something like that allows you to preview locally inside a Windows environment, right? So that's okay, but it's not really the best, right? Because basically you have to probably get a license for Windows or something of that nature, right? Because you have to run it. You have to actually own a license to Windows. So that is one option though, if you have access to a VMware or a VM and things of that nature.
There's also an app called Wine that might be useful, and that doesn't cost anything.
Oh, okay. But Wine won't install Internet Explorer, right? That just purely installs Windows apps on a Linux environment, right? So yeah. The next option would be something a service. This is how I do it now. It is a service called Browser Stack, and it is a monthly service, and so I pay. Here, I'll show you. Let me quickly. We're really going off on a tangent here, but it's okay. So Browser Stack's really cool. Now it is a little pricey. So if you go to, but I'll show you a trick. So their cheapest plan is $29 a month. But if you go down here, oh, they made it a little bit more obvious now. Before it was just a small little link. You can access it for $12.50 a month as a freelancer. So this is what I use. And let me show you, I'll sign in and give you a little preview of what it actually does. So I'm going to go ahead and sign in. So what it does is it gives you this interface where you can choose what OS version and what browser version on that OS you want. So for instance, here's Windows 8.1, and I can load a site in Internet Explorer 11 and just click on that. So now it's launching Internet Explorer in Windows 8.1, right? And you can just then change whatever website you want. This was a website of a user I was helping out with an issue just last week. So yeah, so this gives you the ability to have an actual Internet Explorer browser running inside your browser. So that's what I use. Yeah, if you do have an issue and you think it's something with one of my products, go ahead and let us know. And I'm happy to help debug that for you. So yeah, does that help out? Okay, so next up, let's go. We're gonna go through and jump through. Actually, let's look at some of those toolbar things, right? Just some minor things. We finally got rid of the theme drawer. Yay! Right. So there is a nice new interface for looking at themes. It's just a little pop-up window here, and there's nice sorts. Okay.
This device lost its connection.
And so you can find various themes by developer, just like the add-on section, okay, in the preferences. Now, if you notice, there used to be a preference in RapidWeaver 7 and previously that lets you set your default theme. Now, if you want to set your default theme in RapidWeaver 8, you got to go here and you right-click and you can say make default. So that's the default that everyone here probably wants, right? You right-click on Foundation, say Make Default, and that is your default theme now for every new project, right? So nice. That's nice. The projects, that opens up your recent projects window. Oops, I just closed it. Right, so that's nice. RapidWeaver 8 also ships with some example projects now so that you can open up and see some example projects. So those are nice too. Next up is the new resources window. So this is pretty cool, actually. So if you remember in previous versions of RapidWeaver, there used to be resources in the left-hand pane, okay, in the sidebar over here. Those are now managed inside of a completely separate window. And it's nice. Basically, what you do is it's just a window. You can drag and drop images in there, right? So we can add a couple images of whatever we want. Oops, here I didn't want to. We wanted to add that one. I'm adding this one special for someone that's here today. And you can add a bunch of images directly into there. Okay. You can also so that's just convenient. And then if you ever wanted to use these inside stacks, you could just then drag and drop them directly on the stacks page. Okay. Very convenient, and it doesn't need to be just images. You can do anything, right? So if I have like this CSV file, I can add that CSV file into here, right? So yes, I tend to not use resources. I mean, they're good. I just like to have just a blatant folder on my server that then I use something like transmit and copy the URL, or I can figure out the URL on my own, right? That way I just know everything is on my server, and if I need to warehouse it or access the URL, I can kind of do that on my own. But with that said, the resources view is nice, and I do agree that it would be nice to be able to rename those files. I could see that as being definitely a useful thing. So make sure that you send RealMac some feedback on that, and I'm sure they'll be open to adding that feature. Yep. Well, yeah. While Brian's doing that, I'm going to jump into the next part of the resources, which is very interesting, and that is the new Unsplash integration. So a lot of us want to use, stock art, right? So stock images, and they're now baked directly into RapidWeaver. So all these are beautiful images that are coming from Unsplash, which is a stock image service. And if you want to use any of these images, you just go ahead and let's say I want this one, just drag and drop it directly onto your page, right? Now, if you remember earlier in the RapidWeaver preferences, there was an Unsplash tab, and that defined the size, okay? The size of the image that gets dragged in, okay? So that is cool. Now you can also, what's also interesting is there's a search box in here, and you can start searching for stuff. So if you want more coffee images, because we can never have enough coffee, right? You can be like, oh yeah, you can search for coffee, and you want that one, you can drag that onto your page and use it, right? So very, very convenient. That this integration, I like it more than I thought I was going to. So definitely, if you're into some stuff, if you want some stock photos, free stock photos for your websites, go ahead and start using this Unsplash integration, and searching through it is very convenient. So I like it.
Can I just jump in there?
Yes.
Joe, I noticed today some of the NASA photos aren't available because you've got to sign up. So I guess there'll be other stuff missing.
Oh, so you get access to more images if you sign up for an account on Unsplash?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Fair enough. That they even allow this authenticated access to their stock photos is pretty cool. So there you go. That's a good tip. If you want to have access to some unlocked photos that aren't here, sign up for an account on Unsplash. Good tip. And I think in resources, you can add folders. So I thought you could right click, but if you click on the plus, you can add a new folder into here. It shows up on the pane over here. So then you can have layers and resources and folders and whatnot. So that's convenient. So there you go. And so that's the new resources. Pretty cool. Another thing, if you ever use the snippets, the snippet manager got a little UI overhaul. Nice. Not sure how many people use that, but it's a nice way of storing little snippets and whatnot of HTML snippets that you probably got on the internet, or that me and Rob have given you on support tickets. Maybe you just shove those inside, create a snippet for yourself so that you can access them in other projects, or don't lose them. Right. So that's nice. Next, the overall UI has pretty much stayed the same, right? We have this pane over here on the right. We have the left, sorry, and then we have the main settings on the left. There is a new tab on the far right that lets you open it up in a new window if you want that. You could do this in previous versions. It just behaved a little bit differently. So you now have this free form window that you can have floating if you like that. I personally like it docked, but some people like those floating windows. And then there's this new toggle to toggle the panes on and off if you see fit. So it's nice. Health, that's pretty much stayed the same. The health check from RapidWeaver 7, use that. It just gives you some tips and tricks for things that you might want to fix on this project. Okay. Next stuff. Another new feature in RapidWeaver 8 is web icons. So this is all of the, the fave icons, the browser tab icons, the social media icons, and all that jazz, right? And I'm just going to go ahead and drag in one in here so we can see. If I drag this in, oops, did that work? What happened? Maybe it has to be on the desktop. Oh, I guess you have to click on it. How have I never? Oh, it can't take a JPEG. It needs to be a PNG. That's why. Duh. There it goes. Okay, so I added one, and if you notice what it did is it says, do you want to auto-generate the same icon for all of these? And you can say generate icon, and boom. RapidWeaver then generated all of the icons for everything that we needed. Now this one over here, this is the Safari pinned tab icon. So the latest version of Safari now can use the fave icon, okay? But if you want a special SVG pin tab icon, again, this is only going to be for Safari 11 and previous versions. You can supply an SVG. Safari 12 so the newest version that's coming out, as well as Mojave and the version on iOS 12, it will use the fave icon. So this is they added this obviously before Apple added that feature, but if you wanted to provide your own SVG here, you can do that. Okay. So that's cool. I like that. Now, obviously, it auto-generated all these, but if you wanted a custom one for each of these, you can, specify and then drag and drop a custom icon for every single one of these if you wanted to go that far. But it's nice that RapidWeaver does it for you auto-magically.
It only does it the first time, by the way.
Yes.
Dragging.
Yes. Yes. If you try to do it again, yes, you are correct. So if I did that again, it wouldn't prompt me again. It's only on the first try. Correct. So that's nice, web icons. The next new thing is the new privacy tab. So this allows, if you do show privacy message, or let me just add some text into here. So I added a little bit of text, and if we preview my preview page, okay, so go back to privacy. So yeah, so this would show that privacy message. So if whatever GDPR thing you wanted to put in there, you can do that, right? And this checkbox show only once or not, that just basically uses I think it uses local storage, not a cookie. Very important. It does not use a cookie to display whether or not the message has been displayed to that particular browser or not already, right? And obviously this is just a generic box. You can type whatever you want, so it's you type it in your language. And this is this dismiss button is the button that you would put inside the label that gets put in the button, right? There is another setting here that isn't really with privacy or cookies or GDPR, and that's anonymized requests to third-party servers. What this does is it basically goes ahead and, how do I explain this? Here. So let's say you're using a third-party service. A lot of times it's fonts, okay? So one thing that I've used, I tend to use either Typekit or Hoffler, which is typography.com. And those, when you pay for them, are licensed on a per domain basis. Okay, so I license it for my website. So the way that those companies work is when I request the fonts from them, essentially what it does is it verifies that it's my domain that's making the request. So making sure that not anyone's just trying to use my fonts that I paid for, right? So it verifies my domain data. Okay, and that data is a part of the HTTP request that is sent with every single request. Now, this new checkbox in RapidWeaver, what it does is it tells the browser, it puts a meta tag in the head of the HTML page, and it says, hey, browser, don't send domain data along with HTTP requests. So when you have that checked, all of those services like Typekit or Hoffler that you're paying and it needs that domain information, they will no longer work. I found that out because my fonts stopped working for 3 days, and I was banging my head why they weren't working. So, and it was that checkbox. So that checkbox is great. It does make your site more secure. But if you need them, such as Hoffler and Typekit and things of that nature, just be wary that checkbox could potentially break some things. Now, I agree these are edge cases. Not everyone's using fancy. Yeah, I'll share my screen again in a second. Let's go ahead and share that screen again. So it's inside the privacy tab, and it is anonymized requests by third parties to third-party servers. Okay. So basically, what it does is it forces the browser not to tell the third-party service who's making the request. Right. So yes.
What about when Total CMS phones home?
That will not be an issue. Total CMS doesn't phone home from the browser. It does. So I saw a thing on the forum. This does affect Go CMS because Go CMS does phone home from the browser, apparently. So this will not be an issue with Total CMS at all. So good question. So if you wanted to use the one baked into RapidWeaver, I'm not. I can't think of a way to do that if you had two languages on the same site. You could probably do something like that if you used a third-party add-on that does that. So if you use something like, MyStack, or I think Willgate has another one, right? That allows you to display those alerts for GDPR or whatever. Cookie jar. Sorry, man, I'm having a brain fart. So if you use cookie jar, you could probably use something like agent to toggle it off based on language. And so you can show one for Italian and a different one for English or something like that, right? But with the baked in feature in RapidWeaver, I don't think that would be possible for a multi-language site. I could be wrong.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Cool. Sweet. Let's keep going. So other things, I'm going to zip through some of this stuff. So if you notice in general now, there used to be an advanced button. But now all of those are available right here on the top level. So thank God for that. I hated having to go to general and then click the advanced button. So that's really nice having it right here.
To think that over.
Yes. Yep, it is a quick and dirty way. Correct. Okay, let's continue on. We're almost there. We're almost at the end, guys. I've talked about all the major features. Some other interesting ones. Okay, inside RapidWeaver, publishing now, you can edit your htaccess file. I don't have a server configured on this. Let's go ahead and let me open up a different project that has something configured. Okay, so I can edit my htaccess file. So once you're here, this particular server doesn't have any htaccess file on there, right? But maybe, do I have another server that has one? I don't want to make edits on that other server. So right now, what you can do is you can go ahead and edit, and change your htaccess file, right? This is just a comment, right? But you would put in all your htaccess file stuff here, and then you can put in some history stuff. You can say save and upload. What this is going to do is going to upload that actual htaccess to my server for fun. Let's go look at that server. So if I need to look view show hidden files. Okay, so there's the htaccess file, and if I just edit this inside my favorite code editor. There it goes. Oops. There it is. So this is my htaccess file, right? So if we go ahead, and I'm going to close that. Let's go ahead and say edit htaccess file again. What's interesting is if you look in this dropdown, it actually creates versions, right? So I can do. Now I'm using pound signs because the hashtag here is a comment in htaccess, so it actually doesn't add any rules, right? But this is my edit. I'm going to say version 2. I'm going to say save and upload. Okay. So if we want to go back to the server, I can, if we want to verify just for fun, I can open this. And there we see, that is my file, right? And if we go back here, I can say edit, and you can even easily go back to a previous version. Okay. It shows you here, and then you can save and upload that. Right? Very, very cool. It's a very slick interface. I think this is a really, really, really cool thing. Especially this little version control thing. So if you make a change and all of a sudden you break your site because you change your htaccess file, you can revert to a different version directly from within your project. Very, very cool. We're getting down to the, let's see, what is, in the page inspector now. So getting into some of the other page stuff. So inside here, where is it? Meta tags. Meta tags, now we have all the social tagging stuff. So if you're a Foundation user, you know that there's the SEO helper stack. This does a lot, not all, but it does a lot of what the SEO helper stack does for you now. So you can create, and add stuff for like Facebook sharing and stuff like that. All that can be added here. So that's your title, your description, and then the image. And this would be the image that shows up for that social sharing, meta tags. So very cool. I'm very happy that they added all of these new tags. You could do them before if you added the individual tags, but then you'd have to know the syntax and everything now. And RapidWeaver does that all for you now, just by typing in the title, the description, and dragging and dropping an image into here. So it's very, very cool. I do hope that they eventually add this into the site-wide code area. into here, so you can like generate site-wide tags like defaults, and then you can override those on a page-by-page basis. I made that request. Hopefully they add that. We'll see. But for right now, you can add them on a page-by-page basis in the meta tags tab. So very cool stuff. I like that a lot. Another thing is, I guess, the theme stuff. I guess I'm going to have to switch to a different theme so we can look at that, because Foundation doesn't have any themes. So if we look at some of the new RapidWeaver themes, let's go ahead and set that one. So if you are a theme user, you can see now that you can actually we have different things. So we have sliders now. Oh my goodness. So if we go into, let's go to the master style. If we go to the master style, you'll see that now we can have different things. We have, new color wells, new sliders so we can change values, new drop down boxes and stuff like that. So there's just some new APIs for theme developers now. And now that there's a little bit more flexibility in the theme API, I might be willing to maybe dabble and do some custom Foundation themes and stuff like that for people. So I'm kind of exciting that we're finally seeing some new settings and stuff for themes, so that we can get a little bit more flexibility in the theme area, even if it probably will never be as much as you can get with something like Foundation and Stacks and whatnot. So with that said, I don't think I missed any. I'm going to go to the RapidWeaver page really quick, and let's see if I missed anything. I don't think I missed any of the big features here. Unsplash, HT access, web generator, blah, blah, 5 new themes, add-ons. Yeah. I'm sorry, say that again? Language. The language. Yes. Good call. Yes.
I have a website with more languages on it. What's now?
Okay, good. Yes, thank you for doing that. So that reminds me, I don't even remember where that is. Is it in advanced? No, where is that?
Site language.
Site language. Oh, right there. Duh. So you can set the site language now inside RapidWeaver 8. And in an update, Dan has promised that will be a page-wide setting as well. So you can set the default here, and then on the page level, somewhere inside this page inspector, I'm assuming most likely here, you can override that with a language specific to that page. So yes, thanks for the reminder on that setting. I forgot about that one.
That will come in the future?
Yes, on the page. Yes, Dan said on the forums that's going to be a page specific setting as well. Right now it's in 8.0. It's I don't know what version. He said it's going to happen soon. So hopefully in a release pretty soon, that language setting will be page specific.
And okay.
Yes. Cool.
But that means that the website, that would be a multi-language website, or is just...
Yes, so that means, if you're doing a site where some pages are Spanish and some are English, or some are German and some are English, because right now, essentially what happens is the theme sets the language, okay, in previous versions, right? Because RapidWeaver didn't have a language setting. So the theme set the language. And
so the Foundation theme don't support it?
It doesn't support that drop down yet. Let me finish my thought. Okay, so the theme set the language, and it was kind of a hard-coded value. And for better or for worse, most themes had the language set to English, okay? So in Foundation, since this setting didn't exist, I added a setting in site styles that allowed you to override that value. So Foundation lets you do that now. It's let you done that for 4 years, okay? So, and you could do that if you wanted to override it on a page basis, you would just have a different site styles. So that's true. Okay. But now it's nice that it's now in RapidWeaver and it's a part of the theme API, so that all themes can do it. Right. So, thank you for the reminder.
Languages on my site, and I use the Foundation theme. I have
yes.
a problem?
I'm sorry. If you have this on, if you have it where are you from? Germany or Switzerland? Where are you from?
No, Germany.
Germany. Okay. So If you're currently in site styles, if you have it set to German, the browser that now thinks your page is German.
And if I have English vision on the same page?
On the same page, if you have English on the same exact page, there's no way of toggling that.
Okay.
I'm not sure. Well, I mean, the whole point is of that setting is you're telling the browser what language this page is in. So if you have German and English in the page, you kind of got to choose one.
Okay. Yeah.
Right?
Understand.
Yeah.
You have a stack to switch the language.
Yes, I do. You're right. Agent can do that. Agent can actually, it'll detect the browser. And I don't remember if, that's a good call. I'd have to look. I don't remember if Agent actually switches out the thing. That's something, I'll make a note of that and look if Agent does that. It would be nice if it did. So good call on that. Yes. Thanks for the reminder.
I mean, there is a stack that makes it multi-language, the website. You know, so there's already I use it in one more.
Yeah, my Agent stack can do that. I think RWML as well. And what Agent does is it detects the language of the browser, and then can automatically switch the language of the web page to match the language set in your actual web browser. It's pretty cool. But it would be nice if I switch that in the HTML. To be honest, it doesn't really matter. It displays everything properly. So I'm kind of unsure exactly what benefit this even gives us. I'll be brutally honest with you. I'm unsure because if the page is German, maybe it's for SEO purposes. That could be it. That's the only thing I could potentially think of. Is when Google is sourcing the page, it sources the page and it says, "Oh, is this English or German?" That could be it. Good question. Oh, well, that's a stupid question. No, I'm just playing. Here, let me see if I can open up my health check. What does it say about my page? I think it's like a browser title length, browser display, the page name. Right. Oh, okay. So yeah, they just have some best practices. If you notice that it's a little warning symbol, that one, it's not like a red, hey, this is a really bad thing. It's just a suggestion of your page description is under 65 characters. It may be a best practice. You might want to increase that length. That's what that means. Does that make sense?
Yes, thank you.
Yeah, and that particular warning is purely for SEO purposes because it's thought. It's no one knows, right? But they think that it's better if you have a page description longer than 65 characters. Will it impact how users see your site? No. The only reason for that is purely SEO.
Hey, Joe, do you think that language thing has to do with the translate when you sometimes do a search?
No, because that translate, I believe what that translate button on search in Google is, I'm pretty sure what that does is it tries to translate the actual page. So it's using Google's APIs to translate a page from English to German. Yeah, but it could use that to determine whether or not the page is German. Yeah, you could be right. Yeah, it could be right. Although I think Google's clever enough, I think they know that a lot of web pages aren't set to the proper language. So I'm pretty sure that they're actually trying to be even smarter than that and actually looking at the language and determining whether or not those words are German or English or Spanish or Italian or whatever. I think maybe originally it looked like it did that, but I think Google's gotten smarter over time and more clever with how that is. But it definitely probably does play a role in that.